So first of all, I'm going to start off by concealing my skin because I'm going to be doing some airbrushing today, and doing concealer after airbrush just doesn't look very good, so I tend to do concealing and stuff after before I've done the airbrushing, so it just looks a bit smoother. And I am going to be using an airbrush machine for today's video. Oh my goodness, I'm naked. No, I'm actually wearing a camisole. But anyhow, if you don't have an airbrush, then you can definitely just do this with a really light colored foundation. You could even use a regular foundation and just mix a white foundation or like a clown paint or something. I mean, just make do with what you have. You definitely don't need to do an airbrushing. And I just wanted a really ghostly looking skin, so I mixed a lot of white into the color, and I did that all down my chest as well because the costume that I wear has quite an open neck, so I wanted it to look very uniform. And then I just powdered it with some translucent powder just to set everything. I'm going to start it on the eyes, and I'm using a white cream base. I'm going to have a list of all the products and the brands that I used on my website, hellojuliagraf.com, so you can go and check there exactly what it is. And then I used this white shimmery eyeshadow. It's a really gorgeous eyeshadow. It doesn't really show as much on here, but it's really nicely pigmented, and I applied that to the lids. And then I used a matte gray eyeshadow, and I wanted to add some depth and definition, almost like contouring the eyes again, so I placed that into my crease and then just blended it out with a softer brush so it looks very sort of blended and very blown out. I also added that white shimmery shadow underneath my eyebrows, and then added the gray on the lower lid as well. Then I used a black eyeshadow. This is much darker, obviously, so I'm really just going to focus this on that outer eye area just to add a lot of depth there and just really building up the black. And then making sure to really take my time to blend this in so that it looks more smooth with the gray that I applied previously. I also just added a little bit of this deeper gray color than I used before on the inner part of my eye. Just kind of gives like a sculpted look there, kind of just below the brows. Then I used this color, and I used this to contour. Now this is not a color that I usually use to contour because it looks very gray, but since I am going for this ghostly deadish look, that's what I'm using. I'm using a fan brush and taking the contour in very close to my mouth, and then also just around the side of my face. So this is supposed to look very dramatic, obviously. So this is not how I contour in an everyday basis, but this really brings out that sort of deadish, ghostly look. Also just did that around my neck area, and then you want to kind of suck in your neck, suck the air in, and then wherever your skin goes in, that's where you want to add a little bit more contour as well. So I'm using that same product there and just deepening up the already existing natural shadows just to make them look like they go in a bit further and you look sort of emaciated and dead or something. And I used just a kabuki brush and that fan brush again just to blend things out and make it look a bit smoother. And I also just added a little bit on the side of my nose. I don't like to contour my nose fully, but just on the very top part. And then to highlight, I used that eyeshadow again that I used before, that slightly shimmery one, just to kind of give me that ghostly glow. It has a very slight pearlescent finish. It's a little bit harder to see it here on camera, but if you do see it up close, there is a bit of a glow. So I added that to all the places that need a bit of highlighting, also on my collarbones. And then I used actually a bigger brush just to blend that out sort of down my chest area. I don't know if you can see it, but it does have that sort of glowing finish. Now I haven't really quite finished up the eyes, so let's do that. I added a gray eyeliner onto my waterline, just to kind of fill in that space, and then I also just blended that out around the lower lash line. And then I repeated those steps on the top lash line, so I'm using that same gray eyeliner pencil. I then went ahead and did my eyebrows. So I used actually just a black eyeliner pencil this. I really wanted some very stark brows just to contrast with the very, very pale skin. So I used the pencil and then just kind of set everything and blended it out with a brush and just a little bit of black eyeshadow on top. I did a coat of mascara on the top and bottom lashes. I am going to be applying false lashes later, so this is just to kind of work as a base for the falsies that I'm going to apply in a second. So now the eyes are complete. So what I did is I put on my wig, and I did that before I did the lips, so just so it doesn't smudge or anything. And for the lips, I used again that same black eyeliner and just outlined my lips, almost using it like a lip pencil, and then filled it in with a black lipstick that I own. If you don't have a black lipstick, just use the rest of that black liner just to fill in your lips. And then you definitely want to blot because you don't want that black transferring onto your teeth. That'll look really strange. And then I set everything with a black eyeshadow just to have it sort of that velvety finish on the lips. Now this was actually the hat that came with the costume, and I was really struggling to make this work. It just wouldn't really attach. There's these bobby pins inside and they don't really stay, and I also thought the hat just looked really weird and awkward. It was just like all wrinkled. I couldn't really fix it. So I decided to screw the hat. I'm going to cut off this netting. So I cut the netting off, that kind of mesh from the hat. So I kind of bunched that fabric together, and then I had a hairpin that I already bought, I don't know, a few years ago, and I just pinned it into place. I thought that looked perfect. It looked like a little hat, but it just looked a bit nicer than that weird awkward hat. So I've got my veil. And then for the hair, well, this is a black wig that I had in another video, and I just kind of pinned it up to kind of look like, I don't know, a Victorian hairstyle. And then I decided to add the false lashes. I don't know if you can tell, but these are actually spiderweb lashes. You can see close up that they're spider webs, but maybe in the video it's a little bit harder to see, but maybe you can see it there. And I just glued those on. And then also for this costume, I got these really cool long gloves that look very glamorous and sort of reminiscent of that era. And I also put on some jewelry that I thought looked cool, and then I had this really awesome fan that goes with the costume as well. So that's the finished Black Widow look. So here you can see my costume in full. It's kind of this spooky Victorian era kind of dress. It's actually two pieces. It's a top and a bottom. I got it from buycostumes.com. If you do still need to order your Halloween costume, go and check them out. They have a big selection, and I have a 20% off coupon code that you can use. It's in the info box. You can get 20% off the whole site, and I'll have that linked below. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. I put a lot of work in it, and I really hope you guys enjoyed watching it. And also check out my Halloween playlists. I'll have them linked below because there's tons of other spooky ideas. And let me know in the comments what you're dressing up as this Halloween. If you've got already an idea planned, or are you doing one of my videos, I'd love to know. So have a great Halloween, and I'll see you later.